Hello, yogis. For this class, it would be nice for you to have available a blanket, a bolster, and yoga blocks. If you do not have these specific yoga props available to you, you can use a stack of folded blankets in lieu of a bolster, and maybe you find some books or board games or anything that can come in as a proxy for your yoga blocks. They won't be totally necessary. I will try to offer some options that will um, work instead, but consider ordering some of these props to have handy for your home practice.
What are you talking about? There we go. All right, Yogan, thank you for being here again. I will be hopefully posting this if I can figure out my video editing software onto yogaengineer.com. So if you do not want to be witnessed in that, you can go ahead and turn your video feed off. Oh, hi, puppy. Hi, I'm a dog. I'm a dog. So I'll edit that part out. I appreciate you being here. Today we have a crescent moon in Aquarius, and Aquarius relates to the ankles. Aquarius, despite the way its name sounds, is an air sign. So we want to try to kind of couple that very grounding aspect of our ankle practice to the filling and expansion of the breath practice. As we go, we will be doing some balance poses as well as some hip stuff. And yeah, it's going to be slow. We're going to get a little bit flowy for some warm up, but it's going to be a more hatha class where we hold postures for a bit and explore the breath within those postures. So take breaks as needed. And as a reminder, those of you just logging on, I am going to be hopefully posting these videos on my website. So if you choose to not have your image there, please go ahead and just turn off your video feed. You will still see me. You can put it on speaker view and you'll be out of the picture, so to speak. I appreciate you all for being here. Have a wonderful practice, and I will see you on the other side. All right. Switching here. Okay, all this technical stuff, so new. So new. All right. Let's start with a seat. Again, if you don't have yoga blocks, you might choose to have some books or some boxes of board games or puzzles stacked up near your mat. And then let's find a little elevation for our hips and start in a seat. The seat that suits you best. And as you do that, starting to close your eyes, allowing the breath to come in and out through the nose. Allowing the breath to come all the way down, deep into the pelvis, the thighs, the shins, the ankles and feet. Acknowledging the rooted nature that we can find even when it feels elusive in our daily practice, our daily life. A little bit of focused breath can take you down almost instantaneously into a more connected sense of your legs, pelvis. Then allow that breath to start coming in through the legs and up the spine, all the way to the crown if it can. If you meet any obstructions or resistance along the way, that's okay. Let the breath come to that place and then exhale back down. Inhaling up and exhaling back down, subtly inviting the breath higher. Don't try to force it. Imagine the breath rising up and falling down. Each time you rise, imagine the bones of your spine growing a little bit more spacious from bottom to top. A little fluid seeping in between those joints. And then perhaps on the exhales, instead of the breath coming straight down, imagine that breath pressing out from the spine through your tissue into your extremities. Every cell beginning to receive that prana. Inhaling new. Exhale is both releasing old and spreading out and integrating the new. In and out. Allowing the arms to enter this rhythm, palms to the sky, reach up. Exhale, press out. Allowing the movement to really match the length of your breath, reaching out and up, palms to the sky. And pressing out. Both arms up, take your time. Feel the whole body. Left arm out and down. Inhale, keep your right hip heavy. Reach up through the right fingertips. Exhale, hinge in the left hip and then the side waist. Look down. Inhale, rise up, reaching. Exhale, right arm out. Take a full breath, no rushing. Anchor your left hip, then inhale, reach up, left fingertips. Exhale, hinge in your right hip, then the spine bends, looking down, reaching over. Keep that left hip anchored. And then inhale, stack, reach up. Exhale, soften elbows as you twist left. Keep the belly firm, pulled in. Inhale, reach up. Right side, exhaling, twist through the rib spine, the heart, then the neck spine, keeping the low back stabilized with a firm belly. Inhales come through center. Exhales, gently twist left, gazing back. Inhale, gather, reach up. Exhale, twist right. Trying to remain heart directly over hips, not tipping one way or the other. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring the hands down to the heart. And then adjust your feet. Keep your hips elevated. Take the feet together, sole to sole, but take the knees to a full 90-degree bend. Make sure your hips are stable. So a very deep, wide version of bound angle. Hands come to your shins or knees. Tilt the tail up to the heart and feel the shoulders come back as you come into a back bend. Pulling the throat back in space. Maybe just look up 30 degrees, not a full 90. Looking mostly straight ahead. Be here. Gather your belly. Press the pinky toes together and open the large ball of the foot, the root of the big toe. Pull those apart. Inhale fully. Exhale, push on your knees. Tuck the tail under. Roll the belly back. Shoulders reach forward. Chin drops to chest. Staying here a couple breaths. Keep the pinky toes pressed together. Breathe into your back body. Expanding the kidneys, the back of the ribs, the back of the lungs, the back of the heart. Inhale, hands pull actively on your shins, rolling pelvis forward, opening heart, lifting throat. Exhale, push. Like a cat pose, gathering back, pressing against your organs. Inhale, cow. Exhale through cat. Inhaling into cat. Exhaling through cat. Pull the heels 3, 4, 5 inches closer. Let the thighs pull down. Imagine that your hip creases were twisting back behind you. Feel your glutes engage. Keep the pinky toes pressed together and the ball of the big foot opening like a flower. Fill up from the belly to the back body. Exhale, same thing, cat pose. Notice the hips may be slightly different as the pelvis starts to rotate on the top of the thigh bone. Inhaling to your cow. Exhaling through cat. One more. And cat. This time, reach your hands farther down to the ankles, maybe even the big toes, but keep your back body straight, really activating that sense of back bend here, and then hinge in the hips, pull forward, keep pushing the pinky edge side of your feet together. Think about rolling the creases of your hips back in space around toward the tailbone. Imagine that back body finding that back bending arch. You may not actually tilt very far, that's fine. If it is open and you're not collapsing into the spine, feel free to fold further. Soften the jaw. And then stacking the spine once more. Taking the feet wide. Just be here. This is a position that doesn't feel good for a lot of us, but let's activate it. Make sure your feet aren't slack. Pull the toes back toward your knees. At the same time, push the ball of the foot out toward the side walls. Feel the back of your heel on the earth and pull it slightly toward your hips. Feel the spine and the low belly activate. Fill that upper rib cage with breath, the back body, the side body, and then start to sway into subtle side bends. Inhaling upright, exhaling over. Let it be a little fluid. Follow your breath. Keeping the sitting bones heavy, there's still a subtle hinge in the hip and then the ripple through the spine. And then coming up. And then the hinge in the hip and then the spine. Coming up. Once you've been on both sides a few times, pull the knees toward the hip crease and then slide the hands out onto the shins, rolling the shins out to the side. back toward your mat, the back wall of your room, hinging in the hip just as you did in your bound angle. Again, trying to keep that sense of back bend in the back spine, a lift of the tail, a gather of the belly, a broadness of the chest, not collapsing down into a curve of the spine. Walking the hands up, press yourself back up. Let your right leg come out in front and your left foot come inside the knee for a, Janu Shirshasana. I like to let the front of my ankle kind of go slack here. If you don't need to be elevated quite as high, you can come down onto your blanket instead of off higher height on your bolster. My toes almost tuck under my knee so that that ankle can be more flat instead of flexed hard. That actually puts some pressure on your knee. So allow that to happen. Lift up the tail. Activate your right foot, Pada Bandha, toes back, ball of foot forward, and then exhale. Keep your heart really stabilized over your pubic bone and that ankle instead of veering over to your right thigh for this version. Keeping those pelvic bones straight and the ribs in agreement. Inhale, coming up. Pressing out the left foot, it's at hips width, right foot comes in. Again, softening the front of that ankle, letting the foot roll onto the top a little bit, pinky toes tuck underneath the left knee. Again, pulling down, using your glutes, feeling that crease of the hip pull back around toward your tail. Then lift the tail, gather the belly, exhale, fold. And then sitting up, bend that left knee. Keep your right foot on the floor for balance, adjusting your hip height as needed on extra blankets, pulling that left foot up into your right hand, and pulling the knee back behind you. You might wrap the fingers around the foot. You can wrap them around the ankle. Whatever you do, lift your spine. You want that not to collapse down into the low back. You really want to keep the low back bones pressing forward towards your navel, even as the thigh starts to pull back. Keep that right foot active this time. I'm sorry, that's your left foot, my bad. On your exhale, push through the foot and start to straighten the leg. It may not come fully straight this time. It's okay. If you need a strap, you can grab a towel, a belt, whatever you have. If you don't have a yoga strap, that's fine. On an exhale, pull back. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, pull back. Inhale, straighten. Push through the whole ball of the foot, not just your big toe mound, but especially the big toe mound. Getting that inner ankle a little longer. Now pull the knee back, taking the hand, right hand under the heel, left arm under the calf. Imagine rolling that whole shin bone toward the earth, even while you're lifting your thigh. Keeping that foot a little active, inner arch long, don't let it sickle in. Push through the long inner heel. As you roll the shin bone down, pull the thigh bone up. Maybe you rock. La 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 la. Maybe you hum, maybe you sing. Remember, I'm the only one that anyone can hear today, so you might as well just go for it. Maybe you set that ankle down on your right knee. Now, for many of us, that left knee will stay high. That's fine. If it starts to fall, allow it. I let my heart turn toward that right shin and then lift up. Notice my foot wants to sickle. Try to keep that inner ankle really long. Just be here for now. As you'd like, you can start to slide that foot toward the earth. Notice my toes kind of point out to the side here. I'm not trying to hug them toward the front. If that feels comfortable, you can, but I let mine go to their natural place and then try to sit down into your left hip. Pull your right hand directly through your shin toward your heart. You're not trying to pull your heart around into the twist. You're compressing your ribs up toward your thigh. Keep that same action with right arm. Don't let the elbow drop down. Be that like, nice dancer's frame. And then left hand wide of your hip, make the spiral. Trying not to go too far. Don't use the arms to crank. Gathering the belly, navel in, stable as the ribs and then the neck spine rotate. And then unwinding, and then sliding that foot back onto the ankle, foot or onto the knee, and then foot active, and then a gentle hinge forward. And then sitting up and extending that leg long, right leg long, lean back into the hands, give them both a little waggle. And then coming into that bent left knee, foot on the floor, and then bending the right knee up, lifting the heart, reaching down for the foot, lifting it up to wrap the hands around. Again, you can take the ankle if the foot doesn't feel within reach. When you're here, make sure that you're trying to lift the tail toward your heart, not collapsing into the low back. Tilting forward onto the sitting bones. If you need to prop yourself up with an extra fold of blanket, please do. We just don't want to put a bunch of pressure through that L5 vertebra, that very bottom part of our spine. Inhale deep, and then exhale, pull the knee back. Inhale, this time push through the foot. Leg may not come straight the first time. It's okay. We've got a few rounds. Exhale, bend the knee. My knee goes way out to the side. Let yours. Inhale, reaching forward. Exhale, pulling in. Repeat 3 more times. Keeping that back spine lifted, the belly active. It's tired. It's okay. Exhale. Last time. From here, your left hand comes underneath the heel, your right hand underneath the calf. Start to roll the shin toward the earth, right? Even as the thigh lifts up toward you. Again, notice your ankle. Does it want to sickle? Lengthen out that inner arch. Really push through the inner heel toward the sidewall. Maybe you rock. Make your adjustments as you breathe. Maybe that thigh bone can come a little higher. And then taking that ankle across the thigh. Again, letting your pelvis come across as well. Heart centered with your front shin. Don't force that right knee down. Just let it fall to its natural place. Imagine those hip creases pulling back towards your tail. Lifting the heart. Be there. My bottom foot is not flexed hard. I have the softness in the front of my ankle. I'm not pointing my toes specifically, but my ankle is a little soft, and then my foot is active with Pada Bandha. I'm just not trying to flex the whole ankle really hard against the earth. Notice that cheating right foot. When you're ready, let that right foot slide across the thigh. Toes can land and point whichever direction is okay for you. Try to press that right sitting bone into the earth and stack the spine. Whew. Not gonna lie, this is the first time I've done this posture in this new hip. It's an adventure. My right hand comes outside, just barely wide of and behind my right hip. Left hand pulls straight back through my shin so I can get my heart upright. Push down through the big toe mound, lengthen that inner ankle, and then spiral. Find that really buoyant left elbow. Try not to crank into the twist, but instead keeping the heart upright, ribs spiraling, and the neck spine. Soften your jaw. Find the rhythm of your breath. Navel active. You might breathe more into the back body than the front body. And then looking forward, letting that ankle slide back onto the thigh. Again, inner ankle really long, lift the tail, subtle hinge. In this version, my right heel is more under my thigh than it is under my knee. It's okay, you can make adjustments either way. And sitting up, lengthening that leg out. And then the other leg, leaning back onto the hands, give them a wiggle waggle. All right, graceful transition. Blanket off to the side. Make sure it's within reach just in case you need it for any knee protection. As you find a standing position near the top of your mat. If you have blocks or boxes or books, whatever you have, just have them near the front of your mat within reach. You're gonna find yourself at hips width, feet not touching, and maybe not parallel. Maybe your feet are as wide as your two fists, ankles are as wide as your two fists, and then maybe your toes have a little turnout so that those shins and thigh bones and ankles all align together instead of a kind of knock-in that can happen when our feet are closer. Let your weight shift back into the heels. Feel yourself standing in these new parts that have been wrung out. Subtle lift of the tail, deep gathering of the upper belly, broadening of the chest, palms spread wide, a reflection of our heart light. Lift up through the base of the skull, the roof of the mouth, the crown. Try not to draw the shoulder blades too low. Let them be buoyant. On an inhale, take your arms up and overhead. And then exhale, pressing out and down. Inhale, reaching out and up. Exhale, out and down. Then inhale, reach up. Right arm out and down. Push down the left foot, heel, then big toe, reach up, inhaling. Exhale, side bend. Don't let your hips come over to the left. Keep them centered and stable. Inhale, stack spine, reach up. Exhale, left arm out and down. Inhale, reach up, push down, Right heel, reach up, right fingers. Exhale, come over, side bend. Don't let the hips sway right. Hug them into midline. On an inhale, reach up and to the midline. Inhale, both arms out and up. Exhale, sit back into the heels, chair pose. Think about hinging in your hips here, really taking hip creases back in space, and then reaching the sternum and hands forward. Really breathing the back, heart back, and then sitting back into the heels. Shin bones have backward momentum. Thigh bones have downward momentum. Heart has forward and upward momentum. Inhale, stand, push through the heels. Lift through the tail. Don't shift your weight forward into the forefoot. Keep it back into the heels. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, rise. Exhale, chair. Inhale, rise. Exhale, chair pose. Stay there. On your exhale, shift the weight forward into the forefoot. Lift up through the back thigh and hinge through the hips. Now you can let your heart go, releasing the rib cage, the spine, even the shoulder blades. Hands can come to your stacks or to the earth. Feet are still hips width, maybe a little turnout. Let the neck spine go, look left and right. Hands above knees. Push with the forefoot. Heels are light. Thighs have forward momentum. Shins have backward momentum. Heart has forward momentum. Gather the belly up to meet the spine. Exhale, hinge in the hips, fold forward. Inhale, push through the foot. Anchor the sitting bones toward the midline. Lengthen the heart. Exhale, fold in, lifting back thighs so spine can surrender. One more, lifting halfway. Exhale, folding in. This time, hands on your blocks or fingertips on the earth, lift halfway. Exhale, left foot back for a lunge. Frame the front foot with your fingertips or your stacks. Notice your back foot is not reaching with the heel. It's pressing with the ball of the foot to keep the back heel high, lifting through the shin, the thigh, and the tail. Then stacking right knee directly over the heel. Try to keep your tail lifting and your heart long so that your hands are light, whether they're on your thigh bone or on fingertips or on stacks. On an exhale, push with your right big toe mound and straighten back through your right hip crease. Be there for a moment. Both legs strong, both legs long and straight. There's a forward momentum of your right thigh and a forward momentum of your left thigh, backward momentum of your right thigh. Inhale deep, exhale, heel gets heavy, lunge. Keep the back leg really strong. Inhale, push through the big toe mound, straightening the leg. And then exhale into the heel. Knee aligns over ankle. One more, push through the big toe, straighten the hip crease back. Exhale, bending into the heel. Be there. Now spiral the back foot flat. With that heel coming down, don't let it just collapse into the ground. Really push through the pinky edge side of your foot and then gather that inner heel. Press with that back foot through the front shin, taking the knee over the ankle. My right hand is outside my ankle, my knee is pushing into my arm, and then my left hand comes to my heart and I start to spiral open into my side angle. But notice that I still have to push through the outer edge of my left foot. Really get long there and let that push that thigh bone underneath you, and then stack your heart for your side angle. The hand might come past your ear, and then back down to the lunge. Step forward. Be heavy in your right heel so that you're not launching off your back foot. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold in. Notice the asymmetries. Your two legs will feel different. Inhale, hands on blocks or stacks or shins. Right foot back, lunge. Make sure that your hips width, back heel high, ball of foot pressing. Hip hinges really sharp. Lifting through the right shin, right thigh, tail, and heart. Hands are light regardless of whether they're on your thigh or on your stacks. Heel heavier than the front toes as knee stacks directly over my ankle. Be here for a moment, lifting through the back thigh, gathering the belly, finding the breath. Inhale deep. Exhale, push through your left big toe, taking left hip crease back in space. Trying to keep your pelvis as level as possible, both legs straight. Back heel high, front big toe rooting, left hip crease hugging the back edge of your mat. Inhale here. Exhale, heel gets heavy, bending. Inhale, press with the big toe, straighten the leg. Exhale, bending. Back leg straight and hard and really active that whole time. Once more, push, lifting through that inner ankle. Exhale, heel, taking it arch, really active. Take your back foot flat. You don't want your toes to point directly out from the foot. You really want your heel to be closer to the back edge of your mat than your toes. Be okay with that. Anchor the pinky edge side. Feel the inner heel, inner ankle lift. Push through that energy so that the left shin aligns over the ankle. Heel heavier than toes. Keep that pinky edge side really rooted. Left hand outside your left ankle. Knee pressing into my inner arm, right hand on my heart spiraling open. Doesn't matter if my pelvis comes all the way, I'm gonna let my heart do the twisting and then reach up. I'm still pressing through that right pinky edge side of my foot so that that shin presses forward under, or thigh presses forward underneath me and heart can stack. Finding the breath. Hand comes past your ear, and then down. Back heel lifts, you're in lunge. That front heel takes your weight and pushes straight down so that you can come forward into the half fold, inhaling, and exhale, fold in. Release the spine. If your hands reach the earth with ease, turn your palms up. Weight way forward in this forward fold. Let it go. Shake it out. Look left and right. Hands on your blocks. Lift up. Halfway. Left foot finds the lunge. Hands frame the foot. Inhale. Lift and straighten. Exhale. Bend and take the back foot flat. Inhale, open up, side angle. Exhale, reach forward and find the lunge. Inhale, flat back, half fold, front of your mat. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, right foot back lunge. Inhale, straighten front leg, lift up. Exhale, bend knee, lunge, and take back foot flat. Inhale, open into the side angle. Exhale, reach forward and root into the lunge. Inhale, slowly glide to the front edge of your mat, flat back. Exhale, fold in, surrender. Lifting halfway, sit back into your chair pose, and then rise to the sky. Inhale. To the heart. Beautiful. Be there. Finding your breath. Making the offering. Taking in the new. Expanding the old. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, anchoring palms together at your heart. Press the knuckles together. I even sometimes cross my thumbs to help me keep that anchor. And then find all the way into your right foot. A little turnout here is helpful for most of us because that actually neutralizes the whole lower extremity and keeps it from collapsing in. Just a little bit, it doesn't have to be a ton, tiny bit. Let the left heel get really light. As you sit down into the right heel like a chair pose, lift the left knee. And then open the thigh. Woo. Carpets are hard to balance on. Bend the knee and cross the thigh, just as we did in our seated position. Now notice that your hip wants to push out. Can you hug it in line with your knee and ankle? We're not trying to draw that left knee down so much as we are trying to just create a hug in both the sitting bones and the thighs. Keep the weight back, hinging in the hips a little bit like a chair pose, and then start to push that thigh across. And then wrap the ankle toward the earth. I don't hook here personally. I like the muscular action of trying to like squeeze those bones together and then sit deeper. Yeah, this is no joke. Eagle legs. Inhale, stand, lift the knee, and then place the foot on the earth. Close your eyes. Don't take your right foot off if you can. Allow that sensation to be there. You might feel crampy. Breathe that crampiness up out of the foot, through the ankle, into the leg. Soak it up. There's information there. Don't just shake it off. Be there. Absorb it. You earned it. Awareness in the left foot. Subtle turnout if that's appropriate. Taking the weight into the left heel and out of the right heel. Really bend. Find a little buoyancy between the hip and the knee and the ankle. Find that. Then lift the right foot. Activate the foot. Again, it doesn't have to be flexed hard. Just the sole of the foot alive. Rotate that ankle and then cross the thigh. Hug the left hip in slightly. And be there, squeezing the hip creases toward the tail and the inner thighs toward each other slightly. Find that stability. Find the breath. Sit in. Find the left heel. Trust it. Lift a little through that inner arch, inner heel. Then start pressing the shin across the thigh like a bow on a violin. Push, 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 push. Then squeeze the ankles together. Mm-hmm. Maybe your pinky toe will touch your shin or your calf, but don't make the bind. Sit deeper. Press the palms together, lift through the sternum, the throat, the crown. Gather the belly. When you're ready, lifting up and then placing the foot deliberately on the earth. Don't lift left foot up. Inhale, soak in that knowledge, that new data. Move it. Notice the difference in your 2 feet. Is one feel deeper through the mat? As you're ready, you'll turn on your mat, whichever direction suits you best, to take a wide leg position, stepping kind of toward the heel edge side of your mat. That will become the back edge of your mat for now. Okay? If you have blocks or stacks, bring them with you. They'll be handy for some of these maneuvers. At first, we're just gonna let our hips take a classic forward fold. So hinging in the hips, weight forward, shins forward, big toe mound and outer heel are your emphasis. But the weight is way forward. Hands can come to the earth if they reach with ease. How far can you go with a mostly active back spine before you surrender into the gravity, into the traction? Keep the weight forward, the back thighs are alive. Let yourself sigh, let yourself hum, let yourself let go. Looking left and right. If it feels comfortable, the hands can come out to the ankles. The shoulders can get broad. And then let the elbows widen out as the heart drops a little lower. And then fingertips or blocks lift up. Pivot on the front heel and the back big toe so that the front toe or the left toes point toward the end of the mat and the right toes point in toward midline. Swing the hips and the heart around. Take your blocks. You're in a pyramid pose. If you need to shorten your stance, please be my guest. We're lifting through the tail. Right thigh bone has forward momentum. Left thigh bone has backward momentum, lifting up. Hand might come to the shin. It is light. Turning the pelvis open and then stacking the heart, triangle pose. Pushing that right thigh bone forward, pulling the left sitting bone backward underneath you. This hand is light, whether it's on a block or your shin or hanging. It's not bearing weight. This side body, from those twists and those side bends, that's activating. Come back down, square the pelvis, hands on shin or blocks, come back around, pivot on that left heel, right toe, square it all off, exhale, fold. Lifting up halfway. Now we pivot on the right heel, toes toward the end of the mat. Pivot on the back big toe, heel toward the back edge of the mat, and then squaring off the pelvis, shorten stance as needed so that your alignment is good. And again, we've got this left thigh now pressing forward and right thigh pulling back. Pinky edge side of the left foot roots down from big toe mound to pinky toe mound, lifting the inner arch. Imagine that same rolling of the shin bone. Remember when we did that in the seated pose? Imagine rolling the shin bone toward the edge of your mat. And then keeping that back leg anchored, start to open the pelvis. Hand can be on shin or block. Then spiral the heart open, Trikonasana. Think about that forward momentum of that left thigh, the backward momentum of the right sitting bone, and then the heart opening. Right hand light, regardless of where it lands, keeping the ribs stacking and the left side body really alive. Bringing it down, squaring the pelvis, find that pyramid, and then pivot, right heel, left big toe, forward fold. Find your breath, release it. Allow things to fall out of you onto your mat. Hands on blocks, lift halfway. Draw the heels in so that you're in a wide squat shape, hands up onto your thighs. Elbows are not locked, but they are straight. Drop the hips. Notice if your feet are too close and the knees go too wide, this is not going to be as comfortable. So take it out so that when you bend, your knees are just about over your ankles. Again, elbows are straight, so I can actually drop my ribs into my shoulder girdle and then drop my hips into this hammock. I'm not holding myself up with muscles. I'm really trying to find my tent poles, so to speak. And there's a tension that holds me here, even as my inner thighs, my ankles start to release. Rocking side to side gently. You can drop your chin, but lift your belly. If you've got your blocks, use them now. Start to bend way over into the left. Lift the heel, okay? And you can be on fingertips here, but bend the knee deep as you lift the heel. Maybe the right toes come up. Some of us might not come low, it's okay. And then push down, come back through the squat. Start to come over, straightening left leg, lifting right heel, come over. Maybe that left heel lift or toes lift as right heel lifts up. Then come back to the squat. Again, over to the left. And then to the squat. And then over to the right. Change your length as you need to. Lift the heel. Be here for a moment. Start to walk your hands closer. If you have the balance, right hand onto your knee, left hand to your heart. And then slowly coming through your squat and over. That left heel is high, right toes active, and then stacking the heart a little higher. Maybe left hand on knee, right hand to the heart. And then to the squat. And then walking the feet a little closer and forward fold. Everybody release. Now, walking the feet together, with or without blocks under your hands. Lift up onto the ball of the foot and walk the heels till they touch. And then knees out and come to sit down onto your heels. You'll feel a little bit like a frog. Mm-hmm. Stretching the soles of the feet, active ankles. Mm-hmm. Being here, start to pull the heels together and down. And then lift them up. And then pull them down. And then lift them up. And then down. And then walk your hands in closer. Gather your belly a little bit like cat. And then open your heart like cow. Take one hand onto the thigh and then the other. Toe stand. Beautiful work, yogis. Be there. Hug the heels together. Think about the knees lengthening apart and the heart rising. If you'd like, you can start to hinge in the hips. Taking the heels and the hips back and the heart forward, folding. This feels like a place of okay balance. You might reach your arms underneath the shins toward the back. Dropping the gaze between your heels. Reach the hands forward, lift the heart, bring the knees together and down, untuck the toes, roll out the feet, the ankles, curl the toes. Place the feet behind your knees and come to sit on the ankles, stretching out the front shins slightly. Just be there in rock pose for a moment. Vajrasana. Tail lifting, belly gathering, spine and heart upright. If you'd like, you might sickle your feet together, big toes touching underneath you. Not all the ankles do this, so bear with me as you go. If you'd like, if you have a block, your bolster, a stack of blankets, you might push down here to lift the knees up. Some of us, we have the core, we don't need the block, we can lean and then pull up, but we're not leaning back the whole time. We're gathering the belly toward the thighs and the thighs toward the belly, stretching out that front ankle a lot. Maybe the hands come to the thighs or to the heart. This has an unpleasant pleasantness to it. And then dropping the shins down. Let the knees come wide. Find your rollout. And then wide knee prayer pose. Arms can go forward or elbows, forearms can stack and support the head. Find your breath. Let the tail be really heavy and long. In the opposite direction, stretch the heart and the crown. Gentle lift of the belly on the inhales and a softening on the exhales. I just realized I did not announce this at the beginning of class, but I've extended this to a 75-minute class. So if you need to leave at 1, go ahead and do a short Shavasana and crack up and do your thing. It is just shy of 1 o'clock now. Otherwise, if you're still along for the ride, let's sit up and then come onto our back body. Having a block or bolster or folded blanket handy. Your blanket might be in a double fold or a stack of blankets. And coming onto our back body, setting up for a bridge pose. Our heels are not all the way up next to our thighs. They are just under the knees, so shin bones are upright. Feet are hips width. Elbows come to the side body. I like to bend mine so I can really feel my tricep press down, tucking the shoulders behind the heart, but shrugging them up toward the ears slightly, creating a little softness and slack at the top of my shoulders. I'm pulling the tail toward the back of my heart so that I'm lifting those low back bones away from the earth. I'm in a back bend already from tail to the nape of my neck. Letting my back neck be long, my breath be full. Pressing down through the outer heel and the big toe mound. Inhale, gather the belly. Exhale, lift the thighs and the heart. Let the pelvis come along for the ride. The more you push through the big toe mound, the more the inner thighs will activate. The more you push through the outer heel, the more your outer hips will activate. We want to find the balance between those. Neither one overpowering. Notice what happens in your ankles. Try to slide your heels toward the midline and notice the lift. Lift the tips of the toes. Notice the soles activating. We don't bind in this posture. We really press down using our musculature instead of the bony mechanics. If you want, you can roll the shoulders a little closer, pushing down through the elbows and triceps. Pull the tail toward the back of the heart and lengthen the sternum toward the chin. That's a gentle push with the big toe mound. And at the same time, pull your heels toward your shoulder blades. Find your breath flow. Take that block, low setting or folded blanket underneath the pelvis, not underneath the low back bones. Set it down. Let the block support you. Walk your feet together. Keep your back spine active, tail pulling the block towards your heart. Come onto the tiptoes. Your legs are one unit. Don't lift one and then the other. Stack the knees over the hips. Bend hip and knee and ankle 90 degrees. Supported chair pose. Inhale deep. Exhale. Try not to pull your thighs towards your belly. Just push your heels to the sky. Inhale deep. Bend the knees. Exhale. Push. Inhale, bend. Exhale. Be there. Pull the tail down into your block. Push the heels up toward the sky. It's like a legs up the wall pose without the wall. Bend the knees. Point the toes. Take 2 full breath cycles to let the toes meet the earth. Try not to just collapse into the back. Let the hinge of the hips do that work as the back body stays really stable. And then the feet come to hips width. And then the shoulders shrug as the arms come overhead, letting the heart spine get a little lighter, or I'm sorry, heavier toward the earth. Feet walk out as wide as your mat. Flex the feet and start to step the heels little by little down your mat until the legs are straight. If this feels like too much in your low back, bend the knees again, remain in a supported bridge. Imagine the heels walking farther away from the block. Imagine your rib spine walking farther away from the block, your head, then surrender.
Allow the breath to take you down. 3 more rounds. Breathing long, breathing through. When you're ready, the arms move first, elbows down toward your ribs. Activate the heart spine, activate the pelvis, then flex the feet and start to drag the heels at the same time toward your hips. Find hips width. Bridge pose. Inhale, gather your belly. Exhale, lift the thighs and the heart. Let the pelvis come along for the ride. We're not tilting and taking the pubic bone first. We're letting the pelvis hang a little. Block comes out. Tailbone touches down. And then release the shoulder blades. Walk the feet together. Pull the knees into the chest using your belly muscles and thighs. Arms out as cactus arms or straight out to the sides. Flex your feet. Inhale deep. Rock onto your left hip, but keep the knees level. Okay? Trying to keep them together instead of letting one slide. Keep that pelvis and thigh bone as one unit, and then inhale the center. Exhale, again, trying to keep the knees on the same level. Don't let that top knee slide back. Keep them glued up. It's not about going far, it's about finding that integrity. One more each side. Inhale, center. Exhale, maybe you pull them up towards your elbow. And then down. And then and then down. Feet come down. Wide feet, knees in, arms out to the side or overhead. And then as you like, you can find a long Shavasana supported with a bolster under your knees. You could take that blanket and bring the soles of the feet together. Make a little rope out of your blanket. In your bound angle shape, soles of the feet together, knees wide, the blanket could go over the soles of the feet and tuck under the ankles, and that creates a little support and gravity as you lie onto your back, onto your bolster, if you'd like a supported back bend. Be my guest. Be your Shavasana the way you need it. Take your time, cover up, be warm. Finding yourself where you need to go. Being organic and trusting that you know exactly where that is. As you are here, remember you're held by the earth. You are cradled, and she will protect you
allowing in only the good, the kind, the beautiful, and the true. Receive. The good, the kind, the beautiful, the true. Allowing the mind come back from wherever it's gone. Your awareness to move into your physical body, not just its release, but its vitality. Making an offering of your movement inward. Rocking the head, moving the wrists and the ankles, and eventually coming to the seat of your choice. Hips elevated, the legs taking the shape that suits you best here. Finding that balanced point where ribs seat themselves directly over the center of your pelvis. The tail can lift, the thighs go heavy. The belly gathers, the heart expands, the crown rises, and the palms turn up. Into your palms, please accept the light of my gratitude. Soak this up through the channels of your arms and into the center of your heart. Let my gratitude merge with the light of your heart center, inhaling brightness, exhaling expansion, repeating this until you feel your light move beyond your bones, beyond your flesh, into the space around you, beyond where your fingertips could reach, beyond where your voice could resonate. Press, expand, and know that through that expansion, your light only grows stronger, not weaker, more dense, not dismembered. Take your palms and bind them at that heart center. Bow in and trust, yogis. Trust that these breaths, these movements, this awareness of your heart truth, this will move you forward with clarity, compassion, grace, and in devotion to love, kindness to all of us. We are together even though we are far apart, merged. From my heart to your heart, my light through your light. Namaste.